Would you like to buy a bridge? The Brooklyn Bridge. It'll help you get from your laptop to your desktop and back again. It's just one example of a host of new computer peripherals being developed especially for laptop users. Today we'll take a look at laptop peripherals on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by CompuServe, featuring an online reference library, Wall Street reports, at-home shopping, airline reservations, games, and hundreds of other services. CompuServe, helping people get the most from computers. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover developments in computer technology worldwide.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet, and this is Gary Kildall. Gary, these are two Toshiba T1000 laptop computers. This is the basic machine. Our viewers will see this screen on the top. This is the basic LCD Super Twist you get with it. I added a peripheral to this machine. I now have a little switch on the side, and I throw it. Instant backlighting, better screen in low light conditions. When we talk about peripherals for laptops, it suggests that these machines don't do what they ought to do in the first place, so I have to spend a lot of money on these peripherals. Why can't they just build a laptop that has everything in it in the first place?
Yeah, right. Well, the computer designer is considering the manufacturing trade-offs, the cost of the parts, the cost of construction. With laptops, you also have size, weight, power consumption. So you go from, say, a half a meg system up to a full megabyte of memory and add modem circuitry, it's going to pull the batteries down a lot faster. So those choices then are left up to the consumer. They can add those parts off the shelf and customize their own machine.
Gary, today we'll take a look at some of the most important peripherals for laptop users. We'll see devices that add memory, devices that add battery power. We'll take a look at devices that let your laptop communicate with other computers, and we'll take a look at some battery-operated printers that you can carry around with your laptop. Now, one problem every laptop user has is sharing files between the laptop and a desktop. We're going to start with a profile of one user who solves that problem using a program called LapLink.
Ricardo Martinez is a physician working at Stanford University Hospital. He has also authored numerous articles for medical journals and books. Dr. Martinez has found that a portable computer with an accessory or two can make his life a lot easier.
The one I have here is the one I use the most of all, and with that modem I can get into the National Library of Medicine and do computerized medical searches. I can then take the part of that search that I want and transfer that onto my data disk that's on the laptop. Then taking the laptop with me to the library, I can have those articles, pull the articles if I want it. I can get full text off the National Library of Medicine and keep that with me.
Dr. Martinez uses a simple cable and software connection called LapLink to download segments of larger files from his PC to his laptop computer. The portable then becomes his principal writing tool and reference library, whether he is at home, at the hospital, or at a distant medical conference.
Certainly the portability has been nice for me because I can take it on the airplane, I can take it to another city, and any meeting I'm in with another physician. For example, I'm working on a project with another physician. When we meet, we can have the work done right then and there on the computer.
Dr. Martinez foresees a time when the portable computer might play a role in diagnosis and treatment, especially in remote areas. But for now, he is satisfied that by helping him speed up his research, it improves the quality of his work.
Joining us in the studio now is Mark Epley, president of Traveling Software, a company which specializes in laptop peripherals. Next to Mark is Keith Comer of Toshiba, known to many laptop users around the country as their private online laptop techie. Gary.
Mark, these displays are looking real good on the portables now, and you can buy it with a hard disk, right?
Right.
Are these desktop machines, are they dinosaurs now, like the old computer rooms full of computer equipment?
Oh, I don't think so. I think you see an evolution going on in the marketplace, and I think what we see happening is our laptop computers are becoming the personal computer, a la a small form factor desktop alternative. You have 386, 286 processors and high-res displays and hard disks, and that's
so
where,
it's still complementary then anyway.
Yes.
Okay. You have a program here that's called Battery Watch. I guess this is one of the problems with laptops, right? Is that the batteries tend to go down at times which are inappropriate, like when you're flying on an airplane. Right? What does Battery Watch do?
Well, Battery Watch, well, you're right. The age-old problem of battery going dead while you're using it on the road, and that was strong motivation for us to do this product. So what we've done is we've dismantled 18 different laptop versions, taken them all apart and put them in our labs with current monitoring equipment on them and measuring the floppy drive, the display, the hard disk. And what we've come up with is very accurate calculations in real time. It's living in the background, 15K of code that's constantly monitoring what's going on in the machine. And you have, like a fuel gauge in your car, your time to empty in hours and minutes and with a bar chart.
And you're saying it's sensitive to your particular machine and your particular use.
Yeah, and it's constantly changing. It depends on your use of the laptop. For instance, this has a hard drive, and I flip the switch back here. It turns the hard disk off, and then you see the time goes up in hours and minutes.
Now, let me ask you a couple of questions about the batteries themselves, because I'm a little confused here. If I bought a battery, are two batteries going to have exactly the same discharge characteristics? So if I change a battery later on, is it going to act the same way as it did before?
No. In fact, you can adjust Battery Watch for that. Every battery has different characteristics, amp hour ratings. And if you replace the factory battery here with a higher amp hour battery, you could adjust Battery Watch to compensate for that, and you have very accurate readings, up to 99% accuracy.
Okay, Keith, now suppose you're using Battery Watch and you find your battery's about to die on the 1200. What do you do?
Well,
give me the computer, Mark.
We've set this up with battery packs that come off while the machine's on. Even if you're in the middle of something, you can turn it off. It checks to make sure everything is spun down, the hard drive's parked and everything, then it goes off. Then you just pull this battery right out of here, reach into your briefcase, and you've got another battery, your pocket,
which you could have been charging in that thing.
Right, this is the offline charger. You can put 3 of them in here and charge them all night. The little lights tell you which ones are ready. And then you just drop a new battery in here, turn the machine back on, and with the resume mode enabled, it comes right back up the same place you were.
But you don't lose anything. It gets you back where you are, back to where you were before.
Back where you were.
Okay, turn it around, and you've got a sort of expansion slot on that too. And tell us what kinds of things you could put in there.
Right in the back here, we've got an extra slot, like an IBM's expansion slot. We have a different form factor and size, and obviously power capabilities. We try and do these all in CMOS. This panel comes off, and then extra cards can slide in here. This is a RAM card. We've got a third-party speech card here. There are a lot of modems that go in this slot. This machine also allows you to put a modem inside so as not to use up the slot, so that you can have yet some other device in there.
Okay. That does bring up the question, though, about expansion chassis in general. Is if I want to put in standard IBM boards, how do I handle that?
Right, we have another card just about like this one with a big plug on it, and there's a cable that runs around, and we have an expansion chassis that's not terribly portable, but it holds 5 regular IBM cards. You can use, usually this is enough for carrying around. It's got all the standard kind of ports built in, the hard drive and all. If you have a network or some other kinds of cards you want to use while you're at the office, you bring this in, drop it down, plug the card in, and you're talking to the other device.
Keith, we have about a half minute left. Dump the 1200, will you? You've got a T1000 over there, and you've got one more thing to show us, which is the RAM card with that. Explain it and show us how you put it in.
Well, the RAM card is, it's an extra 768K of RAM. You take the screws out, take the top off like this. RAM card drops right in here. Trivial to install. Now you've got the 512 that's already in here, plus that 768 gets you 1.2 megabytes. That extra RAM can be used either as EMS or as what we call hard RAM, which is a RAM disk that doesn't go dead when the power goes off. So it acts like a very tiny hard drive, really, in practice. This machine,
T1000, of course, only has the one floppy, so it's
right, has one floppy. It does have a DOS ROM. The ROM is drive C, so it boots to DOS from that drive C, and then this RAM card acts as drive D.
Keith, Mark, thank you very much. In just a minute, we'll show you how to add things to your laptop, even if it doesn't have an expansion slot. Stay tuned. Joining us in the studio now is Chuck Weston. He's editor of Portable Computer Review, a magazine for laptop users. And back with us again, Mark Epley of Traveling Software.
Chuck, one of the problems, of course, with the laptops is if we like to put standard cards in there, you have a kind of a problem there. Tell us about One Under. How does that solve it?
This is a special interface that allows you to put an IBM board under a laptop, a small laptop computer that doesn't have an external slot. This is the interface. I'll show you this Toshiba here. This interface board fits the Toshiba slot, which is not a standard IBM size slot. This connector is the connector that fits on the IBM board. And you put this in here and put your IBM board on it. And the IBM board would fit inside this housing. And there's a Velcro strip here that you stick to the bottom, and then the two screws that hold the interface here would hold this One Under underneath. Then your IBM interface connector would show out on this end. You can hook your peripherals out there.
So you can put one board in there.
One standard size IBM board.
Now, isn't there also an option for a hard disk that you can put in here?
Yeah, these One Unders can be had with a 20 meg hard disk, and the power comes from the internal battery power from this from the laptop.
It runs the hard disk also?
It would run the hard disk also.
So you're showing that on the 1200, the hard disk would be valuable if you put on like a 1000 or the 1200
on a
without the
1000,
hard
if you had
disk.
if you had a smaller computer that you really like, the laptop, the option of not having to upgrade to another computer, you can buy the hard disk and add it on and still have the your laptop that you're familiar with and that you
Okay,
like.
well, one thing laptop users want is a little printer to carry around with them, and we have two examples of them here. And Chuck, let's start with you. What's the Axonics?
This is a portable printer. This comes in two varieties. This one is not the battery powered, and this has an external power source. It has either on the back, it has a connector, a Centronics connector, or the standard 25-pin connector that you can use a standard 25-pin cable on. This is a ribbon-driven.
So that's a regular ribbon.
Yeah, ribbon dot matrix printer. And it's very light and small and fits in a briefcase, and it'll do the job on the road. If you have to have battery power, the battery-powered version will get the job done, but not many people.
What does it sell for approximately?
About $500.
Okay, now the Diconics is a really little one, Mark, and you sell that one, I think. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we sell this in our catalog. It weighs, with batteries, 3.75 pounds, and it prints on plain paper. It uses inkjet technology, the same that the Hewlett-Packard ThinkJet. In fact, it uses the exact same cartridges, which are readily available. And it's very, very nice output.
What about the power? Where's the power source on that?
The power is in rechargeable C batteries here. And you get about 50 pages per charge, so you get a real good output for your charge.
So this kind of device will have a whole airplane full of people printing out.
Yeah, because it's very quiet too.
Well, that's what's nice, right? If you're on the airplane, at least it doesn't clatter like an impression.
Yeah.
What's the other little box you have there?
Now this is a brand new product in our catalog. It's a fax. It's a portable fax, and it weighs less than a pound, and it connects by a serial cable into a laptop computer. And you can transmit fax to any Group 3 fax, which is a standard worldwide. So you can sit in your laptop computer in a hotel room and transmit an image of your letterhead, just like you dropped a letter in
So you wouldn't have a
fax machine.
scanner attached necessarily, but
no, you would do
You're
that.
faxing out of the memory of your computer to
Yeah,
a real
you would do that in your office. You'd scan in, like I've done. I've scanned in my letterhead and my signature. I have two files, a letterhead and signature file. And I use WordStar, and I write my letter and insert the letterhead and signature file sandwich in between what I've written in WordStar, and I fax it out here, and it comes out at the destination just like
it looks like you would scan a piece of paper.
is this only outgoing?
It will receive. It will receive, and you can view a fax on your display. It doesn't have the, obviously, with this size,
you don't get
it
the hard
doesn't.
copy.
Yeah, you don't get the hard copy, but you could print it out with a printer.
Portable printer.
So there you go. As you were saying, Gary, what do you need a desktop for? You got everything you need
That's right.
here, just about. Okay, we're going to be back in just a minute. We're going to look at modems next. Now, if you had your ideal modem, what would it have in it? Probably a tiny cellular phone, so you wouldn't have to go around looking for a phone jack. There actually is such a product. Wendy Woods has a report.
Whether a customer has a problem with an IBM typewriter or an IBM mainframe, the distress call starts here.
IBM service, this is Doug. May I help you?
This customer service representative is part of a sophisticated dispatch network maintained on powerful mainframes. The communication center's computers can keep track of a customer's history, the parts inventory, and most importantly, can locate the closest, most qualified engineer to answer the call. That person is located on what's probably the world's most sophisticated pager, a portable terminal which displays details of the assignment and allows the engineer to carry on a two-way dialogue for more information. The transmission is sent back and forth across high-frequency radio waves. In other words, the engineer can virtually access all the information in here on here.
It has been the most universally well-accepted tool that we ever gave any of our customer engineers. If you stop one in the street and ask them what is the one tool that he could not do without, he'll tell you his DCS portable terminal.
Don't expect to see this system available to the public anytime soon. IBM has no plans to sell the technology that makes all this work. The bottom line is that this system is just too valuable to share. In San Francisco for the Computer Chronicles, I'm Wendy Woods.
Joining us in the studio now is our friend George Morrow, computer pundit, and a guy who knows a little bit about portables, having designed the Morrow Pivot. And back with us, Mark Epley of Traveling Software. And over there, about to give us an interesting demo soon, is Chuck Weston. Gary, also wanted to clarify in the last segment, we suggested that the one under works with the T1000. It doesn't, just with an 1100 plus or 1200.
Okay, good point. Well, actually, that leads to the next topic, and that's how you get data out of one of these things to the rest of the world. Mark, you've got, what, a couple of modems here, some adapters for the telephone. Tell us about it.
What I have here is a couple of products that we carry in our catalog. One is the WorldPort modem. It's a one of the world's smallest Hayes-compatible battery-operated modems. It works on a 9-volt battery. And it just plugs into the back of a laptop computer, and voila, you've got instant communications at 1200 baud or 2400 baud. And it even supports an acoustic cup adapter that can be put on the mouthpiece of the phone, or acoustic cups are not as reliable as a direct connect. So thus, there's a problem there, and we have two solutions. This has been popular for the last several years. It's called the Blackjack. And
it just plugs into the phone.
Yeah, you unscrew the mouthpiece of a phone, a round mouthpiece, and put this over there.
Good old-fashioned phone.
Good old-fashioned phone. And
that just moves over the phone, right? It just, you don't screw it on or anything.
Yeah, just puts clamps right over it.
So do they ever come off?
Yes, they do. And there's also an arrow here. And I don't know, at least I have a problem with that, trying to figure out whether it's up or down. And I've used this for years, and I still have a problem with it. So now we have a brand new product, and this is called the data mouth, and it will actually screw right on there, and it has a little additional electronics, so it's more accurate.
Is it a real mouthpiece also?
It's a real mouthpiece.
So you can talk through it and also plug your modem in there?
Yes.
Okay.
And what about the modem?
And it's less expensive.
Looks like a little bit like a race car.
Yeah, what's this funny little red thing?
Yes.
Now this is, we don't carry this in our catalog. This is the Migent modem. It looks nice, but looks are not everything. I'm performance oriented. It does not have the LCD light, so you know whether you're connected and at what speed.
Oh.
It doesn't support acoustic cup, and if you're traveling to Europe, the world standard is CCITT, and it doesn't support CCITT.
So it's okay in the USA. It's just not good overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the stuff, George, you have in front of you. And I know you've talked before about using your laptop. And
That's right. One of the problems,
5 1/4 problem.
Right. One of the problems in laptops is that most of the software that exists is in 5 1/4 inch drives, and almost every one of the portables are 3.5. The 3.5s are nicer drives, but there comes the problem of transferring. And you think first you can go out and get yourself a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive and do it. Unfortunately, the drives are standard, but the connectors are not standard. Every vendor seems to have a different connector in the back of the machine, and some of them change connectors with models. So what's happened to me is I've become almost completely dependent on LapLink. LapLink plugs into the serial port, and it's screen driven and allows me to transfer data back and forth.
What's the transfer data rate?
About 115 kilobaud, Gary.
Okay.
Big files take quite a while, but for most of the files it happens pretty quickly. There's error checking. You can get around your directories pretty easily. It's pretty good. It's not quite a shell, but it certainly takes the pain out of having to have one of these things around. So I do really believe that the software will overcome the hardware solution.
Okay, Gary, at the beginning we were talking about screen quality on laptops, and we have a kind of Magnus solution called MagnaView. Chuck over there is going to show us a way that you can be working on a presentation on a laptop, then go into a big meeting and actually take the output of your laptop, I guess, Chuck, and display it. Show us how you do that.
Well, this is the MagnaView. This is basically the same technology as your LCD screen, except that it's transparent, and it replaces the LCD screen on your computer. And this is just the pattern. There's no information being transferred here now. Could you bring the lights down just a little bit? And I'm going to transfer the graph that's sitting here on my computer, redirect it to this as if it were an external monitor, and that will be projected through the overhead projector onto the screen, thusly. It's a great marketing tool.
Okay, so that's a graph that's on your laptop right now.
This graph is on my laptop, and as soon as I have redirected the output to this as if it were an external monitor, it appears on the overhead.
Stewart, I've used one of those, something like it. And
great presentation tool.
I've given talks where all of my slides are on the computer. I just put this on the overhead and away I go. I can't tell you how efficient it is when you're traveling and having to do presentations.
So what about the resolution, though? That's what
the
CGA
resolution is as good as the CGA.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not the quality of the slide.
Newer ones are coming out EGA.
It isn't the quality of the slide. But the amazing thing is you can fix a slide right before the presentation.
That's right. You avoid that hard copy problem and the whole mechanical problem of creating the slide or the transparency.
It's done more toward making a presentation very productive and very easy to tailor to different audiences than anything I've seen, Gary.
Chuck, what's the name of that again?
This is called a MagnaView, Duquesne MagnaView.
Any idea what it costs for something like that?
Oh, they run between $1,000 and $1,500.
$1,000 and $1,500, yeah. There is an EGA version in 2 too later this year.
Yeah, there's about 4 different versions, Stewart. Kodak makes one they call Slideshow, and there's 2 or 3 others. There's several Japanese versions.
George, Chuck, Mark, thank you very much. That's our look at laptop peripherals. Hope we'll see you here again next week on the Computer Chronicles.
Random access file this week. You should have bought that Macintosh last week. Apple just announced some hefty price increases on Macs, laser printers, and other Apple products. The basic Mac 2 goes up $1,100 to $4,869. The basic Mac SE goes up $400 to $3,169, and the Laser Writer 2 goes up $400 to $4,999. Well, they're ganging up on IBM again. This time the clone makers are going after the microchannel architecture bus on the PS2 computers. NEC, Compaq, Hewlett-Packard, Epson, AST, Olivetti, Tandy, Zenith, and others have announced a new bus standard called EISA. The group says the new bus will offer all the features of IBM's MCA, but will be able to handle AT-compatible boards. Wendy Woods reports in her News Bites service that Steve Jobs has set a date for the unveiling of his first Next computer. The rollout will take place on October 12th in San Francisco. The product is expected to be an academic workstation featuring superior sound and graphics. The machine will run Unix. Scientists at Bell Communications Research in New Jersey have reported a major breakthrough in neural chip technology. They say they have developed a chip which can be taught rather than programmed. The neural network chip features 6 neurons and 15 synapses, which act like a 15-chip parallel processor. During training, the synapses are either strengthened or weakened, depending on the correctness of the computer's conclusions. The nation's first computer virus trial opened in Fort Worth, Texas last week. The defendant is accused of planting a virus inside the computer system of a former employer after he was fired. The virus destroyed 168,000 records before it was discovered. The hacker faces a possible 10-year prison sentence. Time now for this week's software review. Here's Paul Schindler.
It's not much of a message, but I'm not much for wearing t-shirts. I only put this one on Socrates here to let you know that you can make your own t-shirt at home with a new kind of Macintosh package, Chest Top Publishing. I love that name. You get a special ribbon, and with that and an iron, you can turn any clip art into a t-shirt. Now, most clip art is awfully small. The advantage of Chest Top Publishing, besides the special ribbon, is that its art is big enough for a t-shirt. Also, the program reverses lettering, since otherwise the letters come out backwards on the shirt. Chest Top Publishing does not include a package for handling the art. You need to have Mac Paint or any other program that will accept Mac Paint files. We're using Super Paint here. Now, if you want color, buy color ribbons or use these fabric color crayons. Chest Top Publishing runs on the Macintosh and costs $60 from Unison World Software in Berkeley, California. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
The Software Publishers Association handed out its Platinum Label Awards last week to 17 software titles that have sold over 250,000 copies. Among the winners were Hardball and Test Drive from Accolade, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Print Shop Companion, and Load Runner from Bruderbund. Other companies with winners included Data East, Electronic Arts, Epix, and MicroProse. Lotus has started a new upgrade program for buyers of 123 version 2.01. Buy 123 now, and you can upgrade to 3.0 for free when the new version of the program eventually comes out. Finally, beware the desktop publisher with a guilty look on his face. Police have arrested Paul Cheifet and charged him with forgery after he used his computer to create very convincing fake cashier's checks and purchase order forms. The DTP hacker used his fake checks to buy computers all the way from Massachusetts to Maryland. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Cynthia Steele.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by CompuServe, featuring an online reference library, Wall Street reports, at-home shopping, airline reservations, games, and hundreds of other services. CompuServe, helping people get the most from computers. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover developments in computer technology worldwide.
For a transcript of this week's Computer Chronicles, send $3 to PTV Publications, Post Office Box 701, Kent, Ohio 44240. Please indicate program date.